All right, here we are. We're live in the mob. It's this week we have Joey. We don't have Craig. Craig work kind of got a little busy for him, so he's not here with us tonight. So I've got Joey to fill in. How you doing tonight, Joey?
Doing good.
All
Glad to be
right,
here.
good to hear. So how was your weekend? Anything interesting or new happening for you?
Well, I actually did post a couple of videos. Went down to kind of the Austin area. I like looking at old movie things and kind of history. So we went down to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a couple of movie sites.
Right,
We went to Bastrop and ate barbecue at the gas station. So that was pretty nice.
gas
Then
station
we went to a
barbecue.
little.
I
Yeah, it
hear
was. It
I
was
hear gas station barbecue in Texas is actually like it's still the real deal. It's not, like gas station hot dogs. It's like really good.
No, I mean, if anybody's ever heard of an Allsup's, they actually have pretty decent food. But no, it wasn't bad. That they had the van there, and we just had some barbecue, and they had the old car, the old truck there. I'll have to post up a couple other pictures. But we went there, then we went to a little place called Celine store, I think is what it's called. Anyway, it's been in several movies, Transformers 4, and it's just a cool old bar. It's got the original bar with the glass in the back of it, and just a pretty neat little deal. And then we went to, and that was in Manor, and then we went to Granger, Texas, which is the sequel of Chainsaw Massacre. There's actually people that live there, but it's the two-story house. And then we went to this thing called Jacob's Well, which is in Wimberley, outside of Wimberley. So it's a natural artesian spring. The hole's about 12-foot diameter, and it's a straight 30 feet, and then it kind of gets deeper. I mean, they've had actually, I think it goes down to 140 feet, something like that. They've had divers die in that, but you couldn't 140 feet down.
What do you
Do
find down
what?
on the bottom of 140 feet?
It's cold water. I know that. It's an artesian. It was about 69 degrees. You couldn't swim in it, but you could actually just put your feet in the water off the little dock there. But it was cool. It was really cool. So we just got away. I'd been working a bunch, so it was
All
nice.
work
And
and no play makes for no fun, right?
yeah, and then I got a bad sunburn. So Debbie lives off of the Brazos River, so she lives right on the river. And we went out and played on the river. And uh, I don't know if you can tell, but man, my nose is burnt, and I'm pretty
Well,
burnt.
well, hey,
So
sunburns happen. You know,
yeah, but we had a good
that's
time. So that's all. How
good,
about you?
good. This weekend, let's see, what did we do? My son was supposed to have a baseball game, but that got canceled. So Saturday night, my wife's coworker he's not retiring. He's quitting and going to another job. So they threw him a farewell party, and everybody enjoyed themselves. Had a good time and enjoyed themselves. Most of the deputies were pretty cool and pretty nice. They talked my ear off, talked to me. One guy, everybody in the mob kind of knows that I like cooking and grilling, and Craig does too. And so we were talking, and there's a grill called a Blackstone. It's like a griddle grill, and so there's one of the guys. He's getting rid of his gas grill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that thing and cut it up and make it into one of those griddle grills, so I can have me one of them griddle grills. I think it's going to be pretty cool. When I get all said and done, I'm going to make a mild steel top for it and use some angle iron for my outside edges, and kind of go from there. We'll see what happens. I'll post up pictures as I kind of build it, but we'll see what happens. It'll probably be actually pretty cool when I get all said and done. So you know,
I think it's kind of amazing how many. Maybe it's hand in hand. I'm not, I don't claim to be a pit master by any means, by far from that. But it's just amazing, how many guys actually, smoke and grill and do all those things. I'm an eater, so just line me up, I'll eat. So it's just
oh
amazing.
yeah, the number of people that actually like just cook versus
Hmm.
anything else. It's there's so many people that they cook and they're like, well, it's pretty good and it's yummy and well, I know how to do this, but you know, and it's really good. There's a lot of good food out there, and a lot of people. your friends, you're going over their houses and you're trying food that they've got, and it's all worth it. It's all fun, and yeah, there's a lot of people out there that do cook and make amazing food. A lot of people that should be restaurant cooks rather than
Hmm.
backyard grillers.
Well, I'll tell you the three things I do well. One is I make a really good banana pudding. I make a jalapeno corn dip, and
Pudding
I
or
can make a home
putang?
pudding. Yeah,
Sorry,
and
I had
then
to throw that in there since Craig isn't here. I figured he
yeah,
probably
yeah,
he
yeah.
probably would have threw in
That's
putang.
that. Yeah, you're filling in the role. You're definitely filling the role. And the last is I can make a homemade peach cobbler. A homemade peach cobbler, like roll the dough out
Oh boy,
on the
peach cobbler. Now you're talking my kind of stuff. You know.
yeah.
Well, tonight we're gonna kind of talk about wheels and tires. Kind of a different ideas and theories of how to pick the right wheel and tire, how to pick tire size or wheel size. There's lots of different factors, and just because what we tell you guys tonight, doesn't mean it's gospel, doesn't mean you got to follow it. This is. I was kind of wanting to have Craig tonight to give us a little bit of thoughts behind somebody with a stock suspension car versus us that we have either a ladder bar or a four link with a coilover, so we can naturally fit a bigger tire. And bigger tire, it just looks meaner, badder, but also sometimes a bigger tire, as Joey and I were talking earlier, doesn't always mean that it's looks better. You may have a tall, skinny tire, and where the guy's got a short, fat tire. So what were you talking about earlier, Joey? Kind of.
Well, I mean, it seems like tire size. You see that on a lot of forums, or you see that a lot on these pages. What's the max tire I can fit under there? And it's to me,
You
it's
see
just
that
it's
all the
kind of
time.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of a loaded question because there's so many things that you have to consider, about it. I mean, first and foremost, having the biggest tire, is it functionable? Can it articulate and not rub? Yes, you got a fatter tire under there,
Oh
but is
yeah,
it really, if you're going to drive it, if you're going to drive it on and off a trailer, then it's no big deal. But
right.
if you're pulling up a
Uh,
driveway or you're driving it on the street, what's
yeah,
the articulation,
yeah. I mean,
to that?
I can say for a fact that yeah, I have a 9-inch tire underneath of my car, and it's a 29 and a half tall on a 10-inch wheel. Now a 10-inch wheel, a lot of you you can fit a 10-inch wheel no problem in a stock wheel tub on a 5, 6, and 7. Um, but you have to have, like I said, like either a ladder bar or a four link with a coilover on it to move that spring inboard, so that way you can fit the tire. But there again, articulation, as Joey was saying, uh, with mine, the way my suspension is set up, I have a lot of preload in it, so it's kind of got everything cocked in the
Hmm.
wheel tub. So if it wasn't cocked, I probably wouldn't have an issue. But I do have issues rubbing tires, because the body leans and twists and turns one way or the other. So but Joey doesn't seem to have that issue much because he's running a, what is it, a 275 or is it a 295?
No, the class I run has to be a 275. So I've had a 315 underneath the car. And that's really the largest
Did
tire
did
you can
the
fit.
did the
You know,
315 look better, or did it kind of have more of that skyjacker look where the car is going down the road, nose in the ground, shoveling dirt?
well, yeah, everybody's got a different look. And like you prefaced this before. I can tell you I've had a 315 on the tire on the car, and it looks good. Uh, I've dropped it. I have to have a 28-inch tall tire, so it's not 30, and it's skinnier. It's a 275, and you can change some of that too. I'll touch on that in just a second. But I've actually had more compliments on the stance of my car running a shorter and skinnier tire because really attitude is altitude. I mean, altitude is attitude to me.
Yeah.
So
Does
if it's
that
lower,
shorter does that shorter
uh,
tire allow you to tuck the wheel farther up into the wheel tub?
well, I'm able to adjust it. That's another thing with having a coilover suspension car is, you're able to adjust your ride height a lot better. so you can lower the car even more, compared to stock style suspension setup. A lot of guys back in the day. I mean, my car had air shocks on it back in the day. And you'd put air shocks on it, and that's what you would do as long as you get that fat tire underneath there, and it looked good. But then it looked like that, and
Oh
you
yeah,
know
yeah. It would look like that going down the road. I mean, yeah, it looked cool. That's a hot rod look, but is it
the
always
California
necessarily
rake, they call
faster?
that the California rake.
Yeah, California
You know,
rake.
so they were this way. Well, you had your gasser, then you had your California rake,
Well,
and then
now
it's kind of the low.
this one now is called the Carolina Squat, but we aren't talking trucks now. Uh,
Yeah.
if anybody's looking into doing the Carolina Squat, I highly recommend starting a GoFundMe so you can finish your lift kit on your truck.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Sorry.
right. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just what your functionality is a key thing. I can tell you, with a 315 under my car, I've got to jack the car up, drop a shock,
Right.
let all the air out of the tire, and then I still got to do yoga to get it out. I mean, it's a
Oh
stock
yeah.
frame raw car. At 275, man, I jack the car up. I don't undo a shock. I let the air out of the tire, just makes it easier. If it's a slick, it's not bad, or a biply, but I run a radial. So I mean, really, I just let the air out of the tire and boom, it comes off. It's easier to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you have that different fender well, that teardrop shape where the
mhm.
the 55 has more of that squared box in the back. So and my car, I'll admit, even when I had the 275s on it, I had to let the shocks loose to, drop the rear end enough to get the wheel and tire out. So,
Well,
it's
a
it.
55, in my opinion, a 55 with the squared, it looks better with it when it tubbed and a tire underneath it. It just because it
Oh,
hides the
most
wheel more or less.
definitely.
It just looks it looks better. It's harder to work with, and that's why you see the guys radius in the wheels so much to do it. Where
Yeah,
a
well,
five
that
or
was
six or
that was the
seven,
old days of gassers to be able to fit a bigger tire under there,
yeah.
and I understand and the gassers that was to get it so that way, they could fit the tire and everything. But man, does that just in my mind that just looks terrible. I could be wrong, I could be biased.
I I see that look, and while I can appreciate it, I wouldn't want it on my car. It's not that people could say everybody's got different opinions on cars. Some people like on tires, like tire bulge. I kind of like tire bulge. Now I do a lot more racing than I do, where people are actually stretching. They're
Right.
putting a 13 or 14-inch wheel and stretching a 275 on there, which gives you an advantage at the track because you don't have the bulge. It's just more like it looks like
And
it looks like one of
I
those octopuses in the
yeah
grocery store where you're
yeah.
smeared over your face.
I I know what it's like trying to put a 275 on a 10-inch wheel. That's hard enough. I couldn't imagine putting like a 13 or 14-inch. Man, that's I don't know.
Well, even with bead locks now, my car's double bead locks, and so it makes it a little. You're not trying to pull the lip over there, but when you start getting into a 12-inch rim or more, even with a bead lock wheel, it's tough. I've got friends that do it,
Yeah, it's the
but
the difficult the difficult part for me is I didn't have bead locks and I was trying to seat an 8-inch tire on a 10-inch wheel. There's
yep.
a kind of a hard rubber, almost like a bicycle inner tube that we stretched around the wheel and it kind of closed up the gap and then we aired it up that with that using the jets from underneath and the air coming in the uh, in the tire in the valve stem, and man, it took 2 men and a small boy to get them suckers going. We had a ratchet strap on there too. Sucking
Hmm.
the tire in and doing all that, and yeah, it was you know it was fun and interesting. Once we did it, it wasn't too bad. So
Yeah.
you know,
Well, something you brought too, we kind of talked about a little bit,
hmm
is the skinnier the rim. So if you put a bigger tire on there, and sometimes it makes it kind of balloon out.
right,
If you look at it, and so that could cause it's according how low the car is. If the car is really up high, you shouldn't have any issues with it hitting. But if it gets down low, could it hit inside the lip area? And then you also get to that point where the look at it, the side of the wheel, and right there where the fender starts. That's
Right.
usually, with your car, adjustable ladder bars, or even, a four link car, you can actually move that offset. You can kind of center the wheel a little further back.
Yeah.
Whereas a leaf spring car, it's just you're pretty much stuck right where it's at, and that's it.
Right. Right. Yeah, that is true. You with the leaf spring, you're pretty much stuck. Where you're at, you got to work with what's there. Where we're at, we can work with a wider wheel and tire, to an extent. We still gotta be careful about what we do and what we
Hmm.
choose. But it's we got a lot more options to go with. So and that's where you see a lot of these California custom cars or these pro touring cars. They're sitting down in the weeds and they've got a nice real wide tire, and uh, you know they uh, they have this. Well, it's a really wide wheel too, like a say a
Hmm.
19 or a 20 by 12 or you know 12 or 13, because I think I measured. I've got somewhere around like 13 inches of clearance in the wheel tub, and I
Hmm.
did. I admittedly did push my quarters a little bit with porta power just to make a little bit of room. Which that's something else, guys, to keep in mind, that you can take a porta power with a board and usually take like a 2x4 and stretch it across the wheel tub there, so it'll kind of push the quarter evenly. Now, if you have like a fresh paint job or something, I don't recommend doing that. But if it's something where you're in the fitment stages, like you're in the building stages, like Terry Nye is, or not Terry Nye, Terry Bledsoe, uh, you can push the quarters out and still get away with it, and then do all your body work and make it flow and blend, and nobody really knows that you did that. So, that's
Well,
that's an option.
yeah, something else too. So it's kind of the tire manufacturer. So when I had a stock rear end under my car, I had an 8-inch wheel, some billet specialty rivals is what the name of the wheel was. But anyway, I had a
Right,
hard tire, that was a 275 15, and it worked, and I didn't really have any issues in it. And then I went to put a drag radial on it, and again the tire bulge pushed it out. So I actually had to go in, and and then this is, it's my car, so I just took a cutoff wheel and on the inside and just slit, about that far all the way down the inside of that lip. And with
right.
the car painted, I took a pair of channel locks and a soft rag on each end, and then just folded them up. And there was no end, so I actually gained that little bit back. It doesn't
Mm,
seem like a lot. I
yeah,
know maybe people cringe at that, but
the
like I
the
said, my
50
car's not an original car.
yeah, the 55 has where it bends in, and it's got a lip that kind of cups back in, and you can actually go and cut cut that all the way around to make a little bit more room, like you're talking. You cut that inside lip just a little bit, cut it off. And that's the really nice thing about 5, 6, 7 cars, is most cars usually have a inner fender well, and then the quarter panel, so you got two pieces of metal lip in there, where a 55 just has the lip there.
Mhm.
So
Thicker metal too.
yeah, bear with me just a minute, guys. I have to take a phone call. My wife is calling me. Hang on. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll still talk. So yeah, I think that's just kind of a question a lot of people want the simple answer, and it's just not a simple answer, at all. All right, man. We'll see.